the Baltimore Clippers. So it is fitting tonight that we present a plaque for the appreciation from the arena and from the city for 25 years of excellent hockey in Baltimore. It gives me great pleasure to present this plaque to the new leader of the Skipjacks, Mr. Tom Ebright.
Tom Ebright, the new owner and president of the Baltimore Skipjacks, receiving that plaque, and he will now address the many fans here tonight.
25 years isn't long enough, though. We want to do another 25. And we're going to work hard to hockey right here in Baltimore. Just competitive hockey. Maybe Dean will even stay 25 years. Larry wants to come back too. Thanks a lot. Thank you. But more important, we will be back here at the final games of the playoff to help present the Calder Cup to Mr. Tom Ebright. Thank you. This is very important. The only reason we're all here is because of one man, Tom Ebright. He picked up the ball. Back on January the 4th, we did not have a hockey team here. This gentleman came forth and said, we're going ahead with a hockey team. I believe in Baltimore. I believe in us having a hockey team here, and you're going to have a hockey team in Baltimore. And because he did that, he didn't play hockey, but I know he must have been tough because he played football, and he was the number 50, and he's number 50 forever now on the Skipjacks.
A special Baltimore Skipjacks jersey is being presented by General Manager Coach Gino Briaco to team owner Tom Ebright, adorned with the number 50, which was his collegiate football number. The presentation, the ceremonies continue. I believe next on our agenda for opening night ceremonies will be the ceremonial face-off to simulate the start of the campaign. And I believe that the Maryland State Lottery will be participating. It's the Maryland State Lottery that has distributed 5,000 instant baseball 2 lottery tickets here tonight. We now have the Skipjacks starting lineup. In goal to our right will be Scott Gordon. On the defense will be Tim Thomas and Don McGrath. The forward line on left wing, Dean DeFazio, the people's choice. At center, Jean-Francois No, who had a goal and an assist in the Jacks setback last Sunday night in Hershey to open the campaign. And on right wing, Terry Perkins. The ceremonial opening face-off between Hershey's captain Don Nachbauer and the Jacks acting captain tonight, Dean DeFazio. Daryl Gilmore in goal to our left for Hershey, and in goal to our right for the Jacks will be Scott Gordon. All ready to go. The fans are warming to the occasion. Opening night here in Baltimore. The pregame ceremonies have been completed, and now next on the docket, what we all came to see, the new look, new version of the Skipjacks as they rekindle hostilities with the Hershey Bears. The referee tonight is Mick Magoo, the linesman Gary Madsen, and Steve Miller. All ready to go. Center ice face-off. For the Jacks, it'll be Jean-Francois No, and for the Bears, their always intimidating force and factor, Don Nachbauer. All ready to go. Waiting for the referee, they present arms, and the play's underway at the Hershey line. Greg Smith across on the left defense for Fenvez, and back the other way for Smith in the circle. Greg Smith at his own line. Heads up the right side at center. Cracked by DeFazio, who's bumped by Kiprios, who steers back to his own line for Fenvez. A sleek pass up on right wing at center for Lofthouse. Swept away by Thomas as DeFazio bowled over Nachbauer at the Baltimore line. Rounding the Hershey net with it is Smith. Leading on left wing in his own line for Kiprios. Jolted by McGrath, forcing the issue at the line. It comes back to center. DeFazio in front of his own bench at center zone for Perkins, steering to the Hershey line. Covering on the left defense is Fenves. Up the boards at center for Kiprios. He was skated off by the intimidating presence of Don McGrath. Covering in the Jacks' right corner is Tim Thomas. Now Thomas along the left wing boards. Furneaux curling back in front of the goal. Jean-Francois nose pass, halted at the left point by Fenves. Drove it in behind the goal for Lofthouse. Cracked by McGrath. Swept loose by Thomas along the left side for DeFazio. And DeFazio inside his own line. Steers down ice. They'll nullify icing. Fenves chased beyond the goal by Perkins. Fenves pass. Halted at the line by Grew, but he couldn't control. He was off balance. It comes back into the Jack zone. Backpedaling in the right circle, Corrales. Across on the left wing boards for Tebbett. Up the boards at center for Shedden. Rickwad at right wing. At the center red line for Pierre. He backhands that one weakly to the Hershey line, and the Bears are away. Smith at center with the Baltimore line for Maxwell. Right circle with a shot. He fired it wide. Rebound to the left point, Steve Smith. Pouring in, drove it around the boards, captured in the Jacks left corner by Tebbett. In the middle at center for Grew, on right wing for Pierre over the Hershey line. Pierre right in front for Grew, backhander score! Wayne Grew, Jacks lead 1-0. Wayne Grew from the edge of the crease after Britt Pierre just stormed past the Hershey somewhat flat-footed defense, and Pierre laser beamed it to the doorstep's perch where Grew was roosting, and Wayne Grew with a streamlined backhander connects. Grew second in his many games. Time of the goal, 1:43. Pierre on the assist, 1-0 early Jacks lead. They did the same thing last Sunday night in Hershey at the 1:18 mark. It was a Doug Shedden power play goal. From the faceoff, puck along the Jacks left wing boards on the defense. Tom Corrales drifts it into Hershey territory. John Stevens in front of his own goal on the Bears defense at his own line for Berube. Craig Berube on right wing at center for McCarthy. That was interrupted by Lomo, swept in behind the goal from left wing by Holmes. Corral by Stevens in front of the onrushing Holmes along the right wing boards for McCarthy. In the middle at center, Kevin McCarthy for Mike Murray, steering into the Baltimore left corner. Captured there by Ian Armstrong, the former Hershey Bear. Drove it to the line, contained on the left point by Stevens. The screen shot for Ruby, crossing the crease in front, deflected it just wide. Rebound skims into the Jack left corner. And Ian Armstrong sends it down ice right to his former goaltender Gilmore. Behind the goal for Stevens, rocked by Lomo. Seized right circle by Toomey. Toomey shoots, he scores! Sean Toomey, Jacks lead 2-0. Byron Lomo made the hit. He just crashed the Hershey defenseman, John Stevens, behind the goal with a bone-rattling, rude and robust jolt. And the puck slithered into the circle on the right side, and Sean Toomey with a sleek spinorama just ripped it home at 2:47. Toomey from Armstrong, although Lomo should be credited with an assist as well. He was the one with the bone-bruising body belt that completely took out Stevens behind the Hershey goal. Toomey from Armstrong and Lomo at 2:47. The Jacks have struck with 2 goals, 64 seconds apart. Grew second from Pierre and Shedden at 1:43. Toomey from Lomo and Armstrong at 2:47. From the face-off deep in the Hershey corner, right side, no. Along the boards for Perkins. Back behind the goal for no. Center point for Armstrong. Left point for Hoover with a shot, and that was wide. Armstrong barges in from the point to hold it in. Poked it in the corner for no. Halted by Knockbauer. In the middle at center for Lofthouse. Over the Baltimore line. He wheels in front, and Hoover rode him off beautifully. The puck along the left wing boards. DeFazio will control at his own line for the Jacks. Dean DeFazio on right wing at center for Perkins. It rolled off his stick back to the Baltimore line. Armstrong controls in the middle at center for no. Jacks control. Jean-Francois no drove it in behind the Hershey goal. The Jacks are changing 16-17 for the period. Jacks have stung the Bears to seize a 2-0 lead. at center zone. Control back of the Baltimore line by a turning Tim Thomas on the defense. Thomas rink-wide on right wing at center for Shedden at the Hershey line. Along the right wing boards for Pierre, charging in behind the goal. Pierre centering, pass struck the back of the net. Deflects behind the goal. Greg Smith around the left wing boards for Seabrook. Seabrook up the boards at center for Lamoureux. On right wing for Maxwell over the Baltimore line behind the defense. Maxwell is in alone with a shot. He scores! Kevin Maxwell bursting behind the Jacks defense, and the Jacks lead is sliced to 2-1. Boy, the flow of the play was on the left side, and Kevin Maxwell was all by himself on the right side, victimizing the Skipjacks defense and Tim Thomas there. And Maxwell just romped in on singular flight, deked the sprawling Gordon from the crease and deposited home the backhander at 4-13. Maxwell's fourth of the young season, 3 of those against the Jacks, and the Jacks lead has been shaved in half to 2-1. From the face-off, puck right in front of the Baltimore goal. Controlled by Shedden. He's away for the Jacks center circle. Shedden sends it in behind the Hershey goal. Covering the carom is Gilmore. Gilmore sailed it into the crowd at the left wing boards, and there'll be a Hershey penalty to the goaltender, Gilmore, as Gilmore appeared to deliberately corral the carom off his own backboards and sail the puck over the left wing boards into the crowd. The game's first penalty to the Hershey goaltender, Daryl Gilmore, at 4:36. It was Kevin Maxwell's fourth for Mitch Lamoureux and Glenn Seabrook at 4:13. The 3 goals in rapid-fire fashion, 2 minutes and 30 seconds apart. Cruz second from Shedden and Pierre at 1:43. Toomey from Armstrong and Lomo at 2:47. A 2-goal Skipjack thunderclap in a minute 4 launched them into a 2-0 lead before Maxwell connected as he exploded behind the Jacks defense from Lamoureux and Seabrook at 4:13. Gilmore 2 minutes for delay of game at 4:36. Glenn Seabrook will serve the Hershey goaltender's penalty. 7 of the Jacks' 10 goals, including the preseason, entering tonight's game by virtue of the power play. They were 2 for 8 last Sunday night at Hershey in the losing effort. Tim Thomas from behind the Skipjack goal. He'll leave for Grew, returning it to Thomas in front of the goal. Thomas straight ahead at his own line for Tebbett in the middle at center. Grew dashing into the Hershey line. Grew pulls up on the hash mark right board to the right point for Tebbett. Undressed to the puck by Knockbauer, who races after to the Baltimore line. But Tim Thomas rushed across and just whacked it over the glass into the crowd. No further play. Greg Tebbett was really caught in a flat-footed state at the Hershey line on the right defense, on the right point for the Jacks. Faceoff will be barely to the Jacks side of the center red line. First of 3 games and 3 nights for the Jacks. They'll be in Hershey tomorrow night, airtime on the Jacks Hockey Network, 7:15. Jacks are back home here Sunday night at 7 to entertain Springfield. From the faceoff, scraped off the Baltimore backboards by Tim Thomas, 1:20 for the power play. Now Tim Thomas will orchestrate the power play march at his own line, lugging it through center, crossing the Hershey line, wheeling to the right wing boards, backhanding it around the backboard, left corner, it finds Shedden. Now Doug Shedden sheds the check of McCarthy. Left circle for Grew, shooting, deflected airborne by McClay, right in front for Shedden, and it rolled off his stick behind the goal, but the referee Magoo sounds the whistle. I believe the puck was batted airborne with a stick raised above the shoulder by Doug Shedden. And the face-off will originate outside the Hershey blue line right below us on the Baltimore left wing. We've changed broadcast locations this season. We are on the opposite side, and we're right on the blue line that the Jacks attacked twice. All ready to go with a face-off for the Jacks. It'll be Lamoureux for Hershey, and for the Jacks, Yves Heroux. Lamoureux won it. It comes all the way across to the left boards inside the Hershey line, scampering after it is Fenvez, and he drove it to the front of the Baltimore goal. Hoover in front of Lamoureux at his own line, leading for Holmes. Holmes on right wing at center for Ian Armstrong, drifting it into the Hershey right corner, covering the carom is Greg Smith, and Smith launches a rocketing missile into the crowd about 7 rows up, and a gentleman in a plaid flannel shirt sitting on the aisle from Hagerstown grabbed that one. The 6th row, and the gentleman from Hagerstown grabbed that one. The faceoff will remain deep in Hershey territory. Circle right of the goaltender, Daryl Gilmore. 40 seconds for his penalty being served by Glenn Seabrook. 14:04 for the period. 2-1 Skipjacks. It's been lively and effervescent thus far. Holmes and Lamoureux on the faceoff. Now Lamoureux has been banished. It'll be Captain Don Knockbauer, who's a natural center anyway. Knockbauer and Holmes on the faceoff. All ready to go. Won by Knockbauer, overpowering Holmes. Behind the goal for Fenves. He drove it around the left wing boards to center. Corralled on the right side by Tebbett. Greg Tebbett backhands behind the Hershey goal, charging after it is Holmes. Gilmore poked a pass him into the corner, but waiting for it there is Lomo. Lomo behind the goal for Haru. Haru to the right boards for Holmes, who pulls up. He was cracked down by Fenves, but it skims him behind the goal. Lomo behind the goal to control it. Lomo comes off the boards. Top of the right circle for Holmes. Right in front for Lomo, and he was toppled at the doorstep by Maxwell. Tebbett charges into the corner to steal. Tebbett bolts in front. Thumped by Lamoureux. Penalty over. Contained left corner boards by Haru, centering it. Halted by Maxwell in the right circle. Bears break out 3-on-2. Maxwell at center for Seabrook over the Baltimore line. Seabrook swoops in behind the goal. Centered it. Lamoureux fanned on it in front. It's corralled in front of the goal by Yves Haru, the Skipjack center, but there'll be a Baltimore hooking penalty coming up at 6:52, and the Hershey power play will have an opportunity to brew a game-tying goal. A 2-minute hooking penalty to Tebbett and a 10-minute misconduct for disputing the call at 6:52. A break in the action. Hershey power play coming up. Jacks 2 and Hershey 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Skipjacks penalty number 25, Greg Tebbett. 2 minutes for hooking and a 10-minute misconduct. 6:52. Skipjack penalty number 25, Greg Tebbett. 2 minutes for hooking and a 10-minute misconduct. Final penalty, 6:52.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena, where the Jacks' Greg Tebbett has digested 2 minutes for hooking and a 10-minute misconduct at 6:52. This will be Hershey's first power play of the night. The Bears' power play has been fruitful, 6 for 34 thus far, including a pair of goals in their 9-3 thrashing of the Jacks last Sunday night in Hershey. Don Knockbauer for the Bears. Wayne Grew for the Jacks on the faceoff, commandeered by Knockbauer. Back to the right point for Steve Smith. Right wing, corner boards. Kiprios left it there for Knockbauer. Comes off the boards into the right circle. Now he twists and turns. Knockbauer side of the goal for Kiprios. He tried to drag it in front. Jabbed off his stick neatly by Gordon. It squirms to the right wing board. Smith now pinching in from the point. Behind the goal for Lofthouse. Wrapped up by Toomey. Dug out diligently by Kiprios. Back to the right point for Steve Smith. Shooting. Blocked in front. On the defense, but contained on the left point by McCarthy. Stolen by Grew, exploding to center on right wing. Grew over the Hershey line, shoots! He rang it off the goal post on the short side, surprising Gilmore. Boy, that Wayne Grew can really uncork some cannonading drives. In front of the Hershey goal, still with 1:04 for their power play. Steve Smith at his own line. His pass on right wing at center to open wing, skids in behind the goal. Gordon poked it in behind the goal, seized by Lofthouse. Lofthouse behind the goal, could not organize as Don McGrath was at the Skipjack right goal post and inadvertently lifted it from its moorings. And Hershey, right wing Mark Lofthouse, visibly disgruntled over that call by the referee Magoo. I think that Lofthouse was of the sentiment that McGrath may have, in a rather artful fashion, lifted that goalpost from its moorings. Faceoff will be right of the goaltender Gordon. 54 seconds for the power play. Greg Tebbett's minor penalty is being served, I believe, by Haru, but I'm not certain. Yves Haru From the face-off in the circle right of Gordon. Corralled along the right wing boards by Lomo. Now Byron Lomo overpowers both Kevin Maxwell at the boards, and Dave Fenves pitching in for the left point. And he fires it down ice masterfully. Now Fenves with 36 seconds of the Hershey power play is underway at his own line. Trying to escape the clutches of Shedden. On right wing at center for Lamoureux, around Hoover of the Baltimore line. Right circle, Hoover right in front. The shot by Fenves is right through the crease. Rebound to the right point for Greg Smith. Left point for Fenves. The shot. Gordon the save. The rebound left side of the goal for Hoover. Up on left wing at his own line for Shedden. Shedden at center for the Jacks over the Hershey line. Shooting. Had saved Gilmore. Rebound gobbled up behind the goal by Fenves. Escaping the check of Shedden. Now Dave Fenves with the minor penalty over. Fenves at his own line on the left wing at center for Lamoureux. He crosses the Baltimore line right in front for Seabrook. He shoots, he scores! Glenn Seabrook bursting behind the Jacks defense. And the game is tied 2-2. Boy, that Skipjacks defense parted as if the Red Sea. And Glenn Seabrook, the former first-round draft of Parent Club Philadelphia, vintage 1985 from Peterborough, just burst through the defense, and he zinged it upstairs past Scott Gordon at 8:57. And the Jacks' early 2-0 lead that they established by the 2:47 mark of the opening period has completely vanished. Seabrook from Lamoureux and Fenves. Lamoureux and Seabrook each with a goal and an assist. Now from the face-off, Jean-Francois No was crossing the Hershey line on left wing, and he was sent sprawling on the defense by Jeff Chikrin. And the Bears' most penalized player will be banished at 9:13. And the Jacks will be presented their second power play of the period. Seabrook from Lamoureux and Fenves just 5 seconds after the Greg Tebbett hooking minor had expired. And the Jacks' 2-0 lead has evaporated. Hershey has triggered 2 comeback goals in the span of 4 minutes and 44 seconds after the Jacks had chilled the Bears early with 2 goals at a minute 4 before the 3-minute mark. Drew's second and Toomey's first. Chikrin, 2 minutes hooking, 9:13. Face-off rim of the circle right of Gilmore, who's not been on firm foundation in the Hershey goal. Pearl won it. DeFazio could not contain the kangarooing puck at the blue line on the left point. He has to control it at center zone. Now DeFazio over the Hershey line for Toomey. Right circle for Grew with a shot, and he fired it wide. The rebound to the left point for DeFazio. Along the boards for Doug Shedden. Shedden at the top of the circle. Curls back to the blue line. Across to the right wing boards for Tim Thomas. Across to the left circle for DeFazio with a shot, and that was wide. The rebound jumped over the stick of Thomas, pinching him from the right point back into the Jack zone. Thomas chased him behind the goal by Dave McClay. Now Tim Thomas from the U.S. Olympic team and the University of Wisconsin is underway at his own line. Thomas through center circle. Rifles it around the Hershey backboards all the way to the blue line, contained on the left point by Tim Thomas himself. Along the boards for Grew. Right in front for Toomey. Check by Knockbauer. It comes all the way through to the right hash mark at the boards for DeFazio. Center point for Thomas. Left circle for Grew. Grew shoots. Blocked by McCarthy as it dropped him in his tracks at the base of the circle. That deflected off McCarthy's right foot over the glass into the crowd. That's how much velocity was on that Wayne Grew latest howitzer. Boy, that Wayne Grew, the 22-year-old third-year pro from Quebec, who in his final 3 seasons of junior hockey had 130, 137, and 144 points respectively, and was acclaimed the OHL Junior A Player of the Year. His final year has the remarkable ability to really uncork some cannonading blasts. And this latest shot has rendered Kevin McCarthy in a crumpled state, deep in his own right circle. Hershey trainer Dan Stuck is on the scene to administer first aid. 9:43 for the opening period, 56 seconds remaining, and the Hershey penalty to Jeff Chikrin. Jacks have outshot Hershey 4-3, which means there have only been 3 saves in the game between the 2 goaltenders. 1 for Scott Gordon for the Jacks, and only 2 for his counterpart, Daryl Gilmore. With a break of the action, The Skipjacks 2, Hershey 2, the Jacks on the power play. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. 9:43 left first period and 56 seconds remaining in the Skipjack power play. Face-off circle right of Gilmore. Hershey goal as Kevin McCarthy is back on the Bears bench receiving first aid. From the face-off, Fenves collects it behind the Hershey goal, and he rockets it around the left wing boards down ice. Shedden behind the goal, dishing to the right corner for Armstrong, and up the boards at center for Sean Toomey in full flight. Toomey over the Jacks line. Delivers it to the left boards for Shedden, the trailer poking it left corner for Lomo. Lomo crunched by Fenves, who lost it left circle to Holmes, right in front for Shedden with a shot as he squeezed it through. Gilmore the save, and the rebound is fired down ice by Lamoureux. Covering deep in the Jacks right corner, Ian Armstrong, 16 seconds for the power play. Now the former Hersheyite up on right wing at his own line for Holmes. In the middle at center for Lomo. That one whispered, halted by Maxwell, returning it to the Jacks line where it's corralled by Toomey. Toomey through center at the Hershey line, snapping the shot, knocked down by Smith. The rebound rolls right in front, and Mike Holmes was yanked down by the Hershey player Mitch Lamoureux with that puck kangarooing right at the doorstep, and Lamoureux will be chased for hooking at 11:16. And just as the Hershey penalty to Chikrin expires, Mitch Lamoureux is chased at 11:16. And the Jacks are presented their third power play opportunity of the period and their second in succession with 8:44 left in the first period, and this game deadlocked at 2-2. The faceoff will develop circle right of Daryl Gilmore in the Hershey goal. Wayne Groove for the Jacks, and Don Knockbauer for Hershey on the faceoff. All ready to go, waiting for the linesman. Still waiting, sticks come down, won by Groove, center point for Thomason, left point for DeFazio. DeFazio's pass in front was blocked by the Hershey player Murray, and then DeFazio, in frustration, pulled down the Hershey player at center ice after he was trapped in committing a rather deficient pass. The Hershey player that he rudely offended was John Stevens, and the Jacks power play is terminated after only 11 seconds. DeFazio 2 minutes for hooking at 11:27. Well, DeFazio committed two blunders there. First, his pass that originated from the left point was right on the stick of Mike Murray, above the circles and between them. And then with the Hershey player starting to pull away from DeFazio at center zone, Dean the Dream had no recourse but to pull him down because he was falling victim. Face-off left of Gordon, Jacks goal. From the face-off at center circle, Kevin McCarthy in front of the Jacks. Terry Perkins at the Baltimore line for Don Biggs, dishing to the left boards for Seabrook, overpowered by McGrath at center over the ball for Hershey line for No. No behind the goal for Thomas. He was crunched clamorously by Biggs, controlled in front of the Hershey goal by Kevin McCarthy, who's back. McCarthy snaps it to the Baltimore line. Controlled by Thomas, across on the right defense for McGrath. McGrath at the line for Perkins. He couldn't control. Seabrook is there, but he's wrapped up along the boards alertly by McGrath, who's had a stellar period. At the Baltimore left wing boards inside the line, Tim Thomas. In front of the goal for Jean-Francois No. Now No left it on the line for McGrath. Jacks underway. McGrath at center for Perkins, hurrying into the Hershey line, right circle, dragging it through Stevens to the right wing boards. Perkins finally had it poked off his stick by Stevens. Up the boards for Seabrook, bears away. Glenn Seabrook in the middle at center for McCarthy at the Baltimore line on right wing for Biggs, leaving it in the circle for McCarthy. The trailer thumped by McGrath again, and the Jacks are away. Jean-Francois Snow at center, left it for a trailer. Tim Hoover wheeling into the Hershey line, checked from behind by Murray, and the Bears break back. Glenn Seabrook on right wing at center over the Baltimore line with Shedden draped over his back, fired a high drive. Gordon grabs that one, gliding gracefully across the crease on the left side and covers up. No further play. A break in the action. 7:10 left, first period. Both teams still a man short. Jacks 2, Hershey 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Okay. After the period. Jacks are 25-8-5 when they scored the game's first goal. From the faceoff, both teams still a man short for 20 seconds. Corralled in front of the Jacks goal by Doug Shedden. Now Shedden at his own line. Along the right wing board, shouldered lustily by Lofthouse. And the puck deflects into the Jacks penalty box, where Greg Tebbett is still serving his 10-minute misconduct, and Dean DeFazio is serving the remaining 19 seconds of his hooking violation. In the meantime, Hershey's Mitch Lamoureux is serving the final 8 seconds of his hooking infraction. 6:52 left, first period, and it's a 2-2 tie from the Baltimore Arena. Opening night and an excellent crowd here tonight. It'll be Toomey in the face-off with Murray. Murray controls at center circle, collected by Chikrin. He sends Lofthouse chasing after behind the Jacks goal. Lofthouse jostles vigorously with Armstrong, covering behind the goal for the Jacks is acting captain Sean Toomey to bank it off the right boards to center. Now Steve Smith right back with the Baltimore line for Lofthouse. He snaps it crisply across to the left corner boards for Murray. Around the backboard to the opposite corner for Lofthouse. Mark Lofthouse centered it right in front for Kiprios. He was strong-armed by Armstrong. Controlled at the Jacks left wing boards by Lomo. Both penalties over. Byron Lomo at his own line for Dean DeFazio. DeFazio on right wing at center. Flutters it in behind the Hershey goal. 6:12 for the period. 2-all tie. Deep in the left corner, Chikrin. Wrapped it off the boards to center, where Don McGrath on right wing fired it right back into the Hershey right corner. Corralled along the boards by Steve Smith on the Hershey defense. Now Smith's pass on right wing at center for Kevin Maxwell, darting into the Baltimore line with a high drive, and that was wide. The rebound behind the goal. Maxwell swoops it after it. He controls, he bolts to the left circle, centered in front for Kiprios, swept away on the defense by Mike Holmes. Now Holmes seeks shelter with it behind the Jacks goal. Holmes up on right wing for Lomo. Lomo at his own line up the boards at center for no. He didn't see it, but Fenves does. Fenves headmans it to Mitch Lamoureux, but that was offside at the Baltimore line. No further play. A break on the action. 5:32 left, first period. Jacks 2, Hershey 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Second goes to Binghamton, Utica, and Rochester. It's $165 per person. Now, for information, see Dan at the Booster Club table behind section number 223. That's Dan at the Booster Club table behind section number 223. Thank you.
Now from the faceoff. Hershey at its own line. Greg Smith on the right defense from center zone. Floats it into the Jack right corner. Hurrying back for it is Terry Perkins. Perkins along the right wing boards, surrounded by two Bears players. He finally overtakes both Lamoureux and Berube and sends it down ice. Greg Smith behind the goal, evades the check of a tumbling Dean DeFazio, crash landed into the backboards. It squirms into the corner. Berube taken down by Perkins. Perkins seizes it behind the goal for DeFazio to the right corner for no. No, bolts right in front. He shoots. Gilmore the save. Rebound right side of the goal for Perkins. Centered in front. Swept away by the goaltender. Gilmore to the right boards, where Kevin Maxwell just lofts it over the glass into the crowd right below us inside the Hershey line. No further play. 4:48 left, first period. Shots on goal are even, Steven, at 4 aside. And the result is even, Steven, at 2-2. Both goaltenders have only made, astoundingly, 2 saves apiece in this opening stanza. Stay tuned in our first intermission. We'll salute our first fan of the game for the 87-88 campaign, and to be eligible to win, just bring your radio to the game, dial in, and win. That's coming up live at our first intermission tonight, so stay tuned. From the faceoff, the puck at the Hershey line. Controlled on the right side by Don Biggs. Across the left wing at center for McClay. Thumped by Armstrong. Controlled at center by Groove. His breakaway pass at the Hershey line for Shedden. Didn't make it through. McCarthy blocks it. He sends McClay streaking after it behind the Baltimore goal. He was muscled in a mighty mood by Armstrong, who pokes it to the right corner, where Wayne Groove sends it to the Hershey line. Controlled by John Stevens on the left defense. He sends it to the Jacks left circle. Gordon out of the goal to control it. Behind the goal for Tom Corrales. Now Corrales leaves it there for Armstrong, rounding the net. Up on right wing at his own line. For the Jacks, Britt Parrott slithered off his stick to the Hershey line. And John Stevens on the left defense propels it back in front of the Baltimore goal, where it's controlled by Corrales. On right wing at his own line for Pierre in full flight at center. Pierre darting into the Hershey line. Left it for a trailer, Wayne Groove, into the left corner for Shedden. Left point for Hoover, who failed to hold it in. Tim Hoover was late on the arrival at the left point for the Jacks. No further play. Baltimore offside. A break in the action. 3:46 left, first period. Jacks 2, Hershey 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Back to the play. Puck in behind the Jacks goal. Knockbauer is at close quarters with one Skipjacks player. And the linesmen assert their presence and authority. That was our first threat of a melee tonight against this Hershey contingent, which has been uncharacteristically sedate in previous action against the Jacks, including the 2 preseason games, and now the first 2 games of this early regular season. 3:26 left, first period action. We're deadlocked at 2-2. Groove from Shedden and Pierre at 1:43. Toomey from Armstrong and Lomo at 2:47. 2 goals in a minute 4. And the Jacks claimed a 2-0 lead, but at 4:13, 1:26 after Toomey connected. It was Maxwell's 4th for Lamoureux and Seabrook, and then 4:44 after that at 8:57, 5 seconds after the Jacks had killed off a Greg Tevitt hooking penalty. Seabrook scored his 2nd for Lamoureux and Fenves, 8:57 the time. We're stalemated at 2. From the face-off, top of the circle, the triggerman Lofthouse fired it, didn't make it through. Blocked in front by McGrath. Rebound, poked to center by a sprawling Michael Holmes. Reclaimed at the Hershey line on the right defense by Steve Smith, who came across. Now Smith circling inside the line, across on the left side for Chikrin. Up on left wing at center for Kiprios. Beyond him down ice. McGrath on the reach to touch it behind the Jacks goal. Icing charge against Hershey. And then a Hershey player collided with McGrath at the whistle behind the goal. And we have another gathering of some excoriated humanity behind the goal. Tempers are starting to run a little short here, boys. And the linesmen have been active for the first time in consecutive stoppages of play deep in Baltimore territory. But no penalties will come of it. Instead, coming of it will be an icing infraction imposed upon Hershey in a face-off deep in their territory, circled to the right of goaltender Daryl Gilmore. 3:03 left, first period. It's a 2-2 tie. I want to remind you, these same 2 teams will collide in an encore engagement tomorrow night at Hershey with airtime on the Jacks Hockey Network, 7:15. Jacks are right back home here next Sunday night at 7. I should say this Sunday night. Jacks are right back home here Sunday night at 7 to entertain Springfield, and Provident Bank will be giving away 5,000 beautiful, colorful Skipjacks poster calendars on that special night. From the faceoff, Dave Fenves chased him behind the goal by Shedden. Now Fenves up on left wing and along the boards for Knockbauer at his own line in the middle at center for Lamoureux for Maxwell at the Baltimore line, skidded off by Armstrong. Controlled at the Jacks line on the right side by Britt Pierre. Now Pierre wheels at center. He hits the Hershey line. He charges into the right circle, fired into the crease, and Shedden barely failed to convert as he crashed the crease. Back comes Hershey Fenves at center of the Baltimore line for Maxwell shooting. And Tom Corrales deflects that one. And it disappears in the dark of the Baltimore Arena night on opening night to celebrate the 25th anniversary of this proud, venerable complex. 2:32 remaining, first period action. Boy, Britt Peer that time with an excellent change of direction and acceleration inside the right circle. He just stormed through the circle and drove one right to the crease, and Doug Shedden crashed the crease and barely failed to convert. It was a bang-bang play at the crease. Face-off barely inside the arc of the circle left of Gordon. Jack's goal. 2:32 left first period, a 2-2 tie. Lamoureux won it, guiding it to the right point for Steve Smith. Right in front for Lamoureux, the backhander as Lamoureux was falling to the ice, and Gordon down on all fours to swallow it up. No further play. And that'll produce an encore left of Gordon. Jack's goal. The Jacks have been susceptible as far as defensive face-offs have been concerned early in the season. Grew and Lamoureux one more time, circle left of Gordon. All ready to go. They draw swords, won by Lamoureux again in convincing fashion to the right point for Greg Smith with the shot right on. Gordon caught it, gloved it to the left circle for Doug Shedden, and as Shedden collected it right on the dot in that circle, the referee's whistle sounded, I believe, ruling that Gordon had secured the puck sufficiently to warrant the face-off. Face-off at encore, the third in a row left of Gordon. 2:21 for the period, 2-2 tie, and the shots on goal are even Steven at 5 aside. This time it'll be Doug Shedden for the face-off after Grew was victimized twice in a row by the wily veteran Lamoureux. Won by Lamoureux to the right point for Greg Smith. The shot, that's wide to the short side. Rebound to the left corner for Seabrook behind the goal for Lamoureux. Working on Shedden, who wrapped him up assertively. It squirms loose behind the goal, though. Seabrook to center it, deflected back behind the goal by Corrales. Corrales dishes to the left corner boards. Grew clear to the line. Greg Smith holds it in with a shot that was way wide. It comes up the right boards. Britt Peer fires down ice as Fenves jolted him, pinching him from the point. The puck skids in behind the Hershey goal. Corralled there by Maxwell in pursuit. Grew. Now Maxwell spilled by Grew in front, but Grew directed it to the right boards for Greg Smith. He was upended by Grew as he cleared to center. Now Tim Thomas outside the Hershey line on right wing. Sailed it in behind the goal. Fenves controls, bodied by Lomo, but he headmanned it on left wing for Seabrook. Up the boards at center for Mike Murray, who drove it into the Baltimore left corner. Covering is Thomas. His pass stolen by Biggs with a shot. Chest high save by Gordon. And Gordon pounces on that one acrobatically. No further play as Tim Thomas relinquished the puck right at the right hash mark, barely inside the circle at the hash mark to Don Biggs. And the 22-year-old, 3-year veteran really lashed a wicked drive, and Gordon stood his ground very sharply. Now from the face-off. Puck corralled along the Baltimore left wing boards by Sean Toomey. Poked off his stick back behind the goal by Biggs. Covering is Tim Thomas. Thomas on right wing for Byron Lomo. Floating into the Hershey line. Controlled on the right defense for McCarthy with a minute left in the period. McCarthy in front of the goal for Stevens. Up the middle at center for Murray. Over the Baltimore line left wing for McClay. Leaving it for Murray with a shot right on Gordon. The save, the rebound in front. Big shot. Oh, Gordon with an enormous save. The rebound squirms in the right circle for Lomo, and the Jacks are away. Byron Lomo romping to center. Over the Hershey line. Steering into the corner for Toomey. Crunched by McClay. They jam for it there and pin it. No further play in the Hershey left wing quarter across the way from us. 32 seconds remaining, first period action. It's a 2-all tie, and Hershey has been dominating action in the recent moments. They've now outshot the Jacks 8-5. The Jacks did produce the game's opening goal, as they did in their earlier effort this season, their opening game last Sunday night in Hershey. It was an early strike here tonight, as it was last Sunday night in Hershey when the Jacks scored the opening goal last season. It was portentous as they sported a superb 25-8-5 record. from the faceoff. Corral behind the Hershey goal by Chikrin, skidded off by Shedden, who steals. Shedden right in front for Hoover, who had barged in for the left point, and Tim Hoover couldn't hold the pass. It skids all the way back behind the Jacks goal. Claim for the defense by Armstrong. Up the boards for Shedden. That was stolen. Right in front, Knockbauer's backhander. Gordon the save. The right goal post is off its moorings. No further play on the short side. And the Jacks have been committing a bevy of turnovers late in this first period, deep in their own territory. And thus far, Scott Gordon has been their saving grace. Boy, Gordon has pulled off some saves of great magnitude in the closing moments, with the Jacks running amok at a miss and loitering deep in their own territory. The Bears have been forechecking tenaciously, but the Skipjacks, and in so doing, they've induced the Skipjacks to commit several nearly fatal turnovers. It'll be Sean Toomey and Don Knockbauer, the two captains on the faceoff, developing circle right of Gordon in the Jacks goal. 7 seconds remaining in the period. It's a 2-all tie from the Baltimore Arena. Won by the Bears. The point shot by Steve Smith. Gordon the save. The rebound left point for Smith again, who fired. Tebbett low in the circle to block it as the horn sounds, symbolizing the conclusion of the first period at the 3-all tie. Doug Shedden with a goal and an assist for the Jacks. Mitch Lamoureux and Glenn Seabrook each with a goal and 2 assists for the Bears. Dave Fenves has assisted twice. Hershey has never led. They've tied it twice. Deep in the Jacks left corners, plays underway. Don McGrath will control it. He whipped it around the boards. Behind the goal for Tim Thomas. Up the right boards for Doug Shedden. At center for Grew, exploding over the Hershey line. Right circle, Grew fired. Oh, he ripped it over top of the net, and it caroms off the backboards all the way back into the Baltimore zone. Control by Tim Thomas. On right wing at center for Shedden. A stride behind him. Lassoed at the Hershey line by Fenves. Ahead at center for Seabrook. Glenn Seabrook on left wing, drifts it in front of the Jacks goal, glove down by Tim Thomas. A cross right in front of the goal for McGrath. Don McGrath up the left boards at center for Britt Peer, wrapping it in behind the Hershey goal. Jacks are changing at the 51-second mark. Bears control their own line. Lofthouse. Mark Lofthouse at center for Lamoureux. He hits the Hershey line. Bumped by Tebbett. Corral behind the goal by Armstrong. Leading on right wing of the Jacks line for Perkins. Drinkwad at left wing at center for No. Jean-Francois over the Hershey line. Left at top of the circle for DeFazio. Behind the goal for No. It eludes him along the Hershey left boards. Knockbauer cleared to the line. Armstrong on the right point. Drove it around the Hershey backboards. It caroms up on right wing for Lofthouse. Bowled over by a DeFazio, lusty forearm, but control behind the goal by Stevens. In the middle at center for Knockbauer. Hershey away over the Baltimore line. Knockbauer powering his way into the right circle, centered it right through the crease. Kiprios was checked by Perkins. Dug out behind the goal, though, by Knockbauer. Knockbauer centered for Lofthouse. Knocked away neatly by Tebbett in front of the goal, but contained left point by Stevens. Shooting Gordon to save the rebound in front, and Kiprios scores. Nick Kiprios, and Hershey takes its first lead of the night, 4-3. Nick Kiprios snuck in behind Greg Tebbett at the right edge of the crease, and he just stashed it behind a rather forsaken Scott Gordon at 1:48, and Hershey claims its first lead of the night with 18-12 remaining in early third period strike. Kiprios fourth, 3 of those against the Jacks, and it's a 4-3 Hershey advantage. Kiprios from Stevens and Knockbauer at 1:48. Now from the faceoff. At center zone, Murray spun around by Holmes, who dropped him right on the red line. And Mike Murray, the second-year pro from Peterborough, just plops on top of the puck. No further play. Nick Kiprios fourth, 3 of those against the Jacks. Knockbauer and Stevens assisting at 1:48. Hershey's only win in its first 4 starts at the Jacks' expense. Jacks have lost 4 in a row in 5 of their last 6 exercises against the Bears, dating back to last season. from the face-off. Collected behind the Hershey goal by defenseman Jeff Chikrin, dishing to the left corner of Fenves, up the boards at his own line for McClay at center for Biggs. Biggs steers into the ball in the more left wing corner, zooming in after it is Murray, thumped by Holmes, controlled behind the Jacks goal by Corrales. Tom Corrales clearing pass off the stick of Hoover from the right boards. McClay is there and he fired it wide. It caroms off the Jacks right corner boards to center. Fenves on left wing with Hershey dominating, just rifles it around the Jacks backboards. It caroms up on their left side and Mike Holmes propels it into Hershey territory. Dave Fenves in front of the goal. Fired it to an open wing at center. Corrales nudged it back to the Hershey line where Fenves just ices it. Hoover on the touch behind the Jacks goal, and Hershey charged with icing at the 2:54 mark, third period. And Hershey has stung the Jacks early in this third period to claim its first lead of the night. The face-off circle left of Daryl Gilmore in the Hershey goal. The Bears have lost their previous two starts abroad, 7-6 in their opening game last Friday night in Sherbrooke, and 5-1. They were walloped at Springfield in their last road excursion last Saturday night. This is the Jacks' home opener in their first of 3 games at as many nights in an ambitious second weekend schedule. Gruen Lamoureux on the faceoff. Sticks come down, won by Lamoureux. The Bears have been indomitable on the faceoff tonight. Behind the goal, controlled by Smith on right wing at center for Lamoureux. Behind Thomas over the Baltimore line. Lamoureux is right in on goal. The shot, he scores! Mitch Lamoureux. He was sprawling in the crease and powered it past Gordon, and Hershey leads 5-3. Tim Thomas was trapped, wandering aimlessly in the wilderness. Mitch Lamoureux sped past him, leaving Thomas in a helpless state at the Hershey blue line on the left point, and Lamoureux just opened up that stride, and he just romped in over the Baltimore line on right wing, and as he was falling into the crease, he powered it through Scott Gordon. Lamoureux with 4 points tonight, 2 goals and 2 assists, 6 points in the 2 games against the Jacks this season, including 4 of his 5 goals. Lamoureux from Smith at 3:07, 2 goals a minute, 19 apart, and Hershey has gained a 5-3 lead. Jacks had allowed 22 goals in the first 3 fruitless efforts against the Bears this season, including the preseason. The Jacks, as we mentioned, very vulnerable on the defense early. From the faceoff, the puck is in the Hershey left corner. Drew cracks Seabrook off the puck, but it caroms in behind the goal out of harm's way. Controlled by Greg Smith. He sends Lamoureux streaking after it behind the Jacks goal. Lamoureux is there. He was taken down by former teammate Armstrong, controlled on the Jacks right wing by Britt Peer. Peer barrels to center. Peer over the Hershey line. Pulls up along the left wing boards, right in front for Drew, crossing the crease, and he couldn't cash it in. Back come the Bears. Knockbauer at center, given a rough ride by Tevitt, who dumped him. Control back at the Jacks line by Byron Lomo. His pass halted at center by an intruding Mark Lofthouse, who whipped it in behind the goal. Greg Tevitt to control it. Steers it up the boards on right wing at his own line for Lomo. Lomo in the middle at center for Toomey. Leaving for Holmes at the Hershey line for Lomo. Back for Holmes in the right circle. Holmes centered it all the way through to the left wing boards for Lomo. Left point for Tevitt. The shot that was knocked out in front by Chikrin, with Holmes breezing by the doorstep for the Jacks. And then Chikrin directed it with his glove. And the Bears were called on the hand pass, with Jeff Chikrin removing his right glove and shaking off that one. The face-off, circle left of Gilmore, Hershey goal. The 2 Hershey goals early in this third period, 1:19 apart. Kiprio's 4th from Knockbauer and Stevens at 1:48. Lamoureux's 5th and his 2nd of the night, his 4th point of the night from Greg Smith at 3:07. Face-off, circle left of Gilmore, Hershey goal. Sean Toomey for the Jacks, Mitch Lamoureux for Hershey on the face-off. All ready to go. The attendance tonight, 6,128. Excellent crowd on opening night, 6,128. Now Mark Lofthausen, full gallop at center over the Baltimore line. Wrapped up by Tebbett at the top of the circle, then the Jacks are away. Holmes at center on left wing for Toomey, who had penetrated behind the defense, but that was knocked down by Kevin McCarthy. The whistle sounds, and Don Knockbauer has been chased for slashing behind the play. It emanated back at the Baltimore line. So the Skipjacks are presented their 7th power play of the night. They are 0 for 6, and that has been, although Hershey itself is 0 for 5 on the power play. Both penalty killing units have been superlative tonight. Knockbauer 2 minutes for slashing at 4:51. Absolutely essential that the Jacks power play executes here. Face-off center zone. Below us in front of the Hershey bench on the Jacks left wing boards. Controlled at center zone by Greg Tebbett on right wing. He snapped it in behind the Hershey goal. Covered by McCarthy, clearing to the line. Thomas to hold it in on the left point. Along the boards for Shedden. Now Shedden, centered one. Halted in front by McCarthy. Comes back to Shedden on the left boards. Now Shedden in the circle. Down low for Grew. Grew to the left point for Thomas. Back along the boards for Wayne Grew. Side of the goal for Lomo. Bolts in front. The shot. Gilmore the save. Lomo with the rebound. Centered it. Right point for Tebbett. Along the right wing boards for Byron Lomo. Center point for Tebbett. Left circle for Grew. Right in front for Thomas. Center point for Tebbett. The shot. Lomo in front. Deflected it wide. Lomo has the rebound. Top of the right circle. Pulling up. Lomo to the right point for Tebbett. Left point for Thomas, seized by Maxwell, pulled down by Tebbett with Maxwell breaking away from him at center ice, shorthanded, and there will be a Skipjacks penalty to Greg Tebbett at 5:48, and that will short circuit the Skipjack power play after only 57 seconds. Greg Tebbett was whirling at center point. He tried to slip it across to the left point to Tim Thomas. Kevin Maxwell, with an excellent knack of anticipation, stepped in front of that pass, and he was breaking away from Tebbett, and Tebbett, the strapping defenseman, just reached back and pulled him down. Greg Tebbett, 2 minutes for hooking at 5:48. Both teams will skate a man short for the next minute. Then Hershey will have a partial power play for barely under a minute. Now Glenn Seabrook on right wing at center. Over the Baltimore line. Spilled by Hoover on the defense. Corral behind the goal by Lomo. Lomo around the boards on right wing for Ian Armstrong. Motoring to center. Armstrong sailed it into the Hershey right wing corner. It lands with a thud. Greg Smith is on it there for Seabrook. Around the boards on left wing for Fenves. Checked by Toomey. Backhanding it back behind the goal. Greg Smith is there. Shouldered lustily by Lomo, but he feeds on right wing at center for Seabrook. Storming into the Baltimore line. Swerving through the circle right in front for Biggs, and it skidded right through him. All the way to the left point for Fenves. His pass along the boards was seized by Toomey, who stepped in front of Biggs for that one. Toomey at center over the Hershey line for Hoover on left wing, shooting. It deflects off Greg Smith into the left corner. Hoover dashes after it and just directs it behind the goal with the Jacks changing. Control by Don Biggs at the top of his right circle. Across on the left defense for Fenves. Dave Fenves, rink wide on right wing at center for Smith at the Baltimore line with a high rocketing drive over top of the net, over the glass into the crowd. No further play. A break of the action. Under a minute in the Hershey power play. 13:03 for the third period. Hershey 5, Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now from the faceoff, Hershey has power play time. Controlling it behind his own goal is Kevin McCarthy. Up the middle at his own line for Lamoureux, and full flight at center of the Baltimore line. Right circle for Maxwell. Try to slip it through the defense in front for Lamoureux. Swept away by Corrales to the left boards, where Michael Holmes controls up the boards at center for Grew. He was toppled by McCarthy. Covering behind the Hershey goal, Maxwell. Kevin Maxwell with 18 seconds for the power play. Head straight up the middle to center. Maxwell is over the Baltimore line. Along the right wing boards for Stevens. That was aborted by Wayne Grew, and Grew rolls it down ice. Now Kevin McCarthy in front of the goal. The penalty is over. Tebbett steps back on. McCarthy drove it inside Baltimore territory. Ian McCarthy at the right boards, fires it down ice. Chasing after it is DeFazio. And once DeFazio corrals it inside the Hershey line on the left boards, he's called on the two-line pass. No further play. 12:04 remaining for regulation time, and Hershey stinging the Jacks with two early third period goals, 1:19 apart. Nick Kiprios from Don Knockbauer and John Stevens at 1:48. Mitch Lamoureux's second goal and fourth point of the night from Greg Smith at 3:07, as Hershey has earned its first lead of the night after they fought back from 2-0 and 3-2 deficits. From the face-off, dragged in behind the Jacks goal by Tim Thomas into the right wing corner for the Skipjacks. Yves Heroux overpowered by McClay, who steals. McClay stapled to the boards by Armstrong, and Dean DeFazio finally claims it in the right circle, backhanding to center, where Dave Fenves whistles it right back in behind the Jacks goal. On it there is Thomas. Off the boards for the Jacks, Heroux. That was seized at the line by Biggs, who tried to whirl in front, taken down by Thomas. Jacks will break out. Yves Heroux on right wing at center, over the Hershey line. Heroux sends DeFazio muscling in after it behind the goal. He was checked by Murray. Controlled along the Hershey right wing corner boards by Fenves, directing it to center circle. Tim Thomas controls, hits the Hershey line, shooting. Fenves down on both knees to deflect it harmlessly behind the goal, but Noah's there to center in front. DeFazio shot. He rang it off the crossbar. The red light was flashed, but the referee Magoo was on the scene, and he has wiped out the would-be Skipjack goal that would have produced instant contention with 10:54 remaining. Skipjacks coach Gene Ubriaco in front of the bench, hands on hips, along with his assistant Steve Carlson. The red light was flashed. Dean DeFazio was right on the left hash mark, and he really boomed a blast, and it appeared that the shot struck the crossbar over Gilmore's left shoulder. The goal judge flashed the red light, but the referee Mick Magoo was in excellent position, and he without hesitation nullified the goal. And now the Skipjack crowd growing sullen and mutinous from the face-off. That occurring with 10:54 left. It's still 5-3 Hershey. Mitch Lamoureux on right wing at center, fired. Greg Tebbett knocked that one down, but offside for the Bears in the center lane was Mark Lofthouse. No further play. The penalty boxes are empty with 10:44 remaining. A break in the action with the score Hershey 5, the Jacks 3. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now from the face-off, in front of the Jacks goal, Greg Tebbett slipped it ahead at his own line for Grew. On right wing at center for Doug Shedden, and he eludes him all the way behind the Hershey goal. Shedden squeezes Stevens, it squirms into the corner. Grew centering pass meant for Peer in front, interrupted by Greg Smith, who romps to center. Smith roaring in over the Baltimore line, swerving through the left circle, center to the crease for Lofthouse. He was spun around by Tebbett, collected on the right boards by Shedden, who clears to the Hershey line. Corralled on the left side by Greg Smith, coming across on the defense. Backhanding right back behind the Jacks goal. They'll nullify icing. Rounding the net with it is Corrales. On left wing at his own line for Peer. Peer collides with Kevin Maxwell, who met him head on there, and it deflected off both of them and lands in the Skipjack bench. No further play. A break in the action. 10:01 left. Hershey 5, Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now from the faceoff, Michael Holmes at his own line on right wing at center for Toomey, hitting the Hershey line with a shot. Right on. Gilmore sticked it aside, but Byron Lomo was offside on right wing for the Jacks. No further play. 9:40 remaining in regulation time. The Jacks' last successful thrust was shorthanded back at 8:33 of the middle period, and it produced a 3-2 lead with Doug Shedden, the marksman. Since then, the Jacks have hemorrhaged to the tune of 3 unanswered Hershey goals, a pair from Mitch Lamoureux. And that is the difference at the moment. The Jacks have led 2-0 and 3-2. Kevin McCarthy through center. McCarthy crosses the Baltimore line. He sends Maxwell charging after it into the right corner, along the boards for Lamoureux to the right point for Chychrun. The shot! It squirmed through a forest of legs in front, and it's knelt down in the crease by Gordon. And Kevin Maxwell and Sean Toomey were brandishing sticks to the side of the Skipjack goal, and I believe Maxwell will be chased. Kevin Maxwell viciously brandishing his stick to the side of the Jacks goal on the newcomer, Sean Toomey. And he will be chased for high sticking at 10:37. This is the Jacks' second power play of the period and their 8th of the night. They are 0 for 7 against a Hershey penalty killing unit that has been rather vulnerable in early action. In fact, the Hershey power play penalty killing unit has allowed 7 power play goals against from the Skipjacks in the first 3 meetings, including the 2 of the preseason. Maxwell 2 minutes high sticking, 10:37. 9:23 for regulation, and the Jacks trail 5-3. A minute and a half ago, it appeared that Dean DeFazio had returned the Jacks to within striking distance as he really ripped one for the left hash mark, but apparently it just crashed off the crossbar. Now Wayne Grew is underway at center for the Jacks, stroking it in behind the Bears' goal. Gilmore out of the goal, surrounded by Shedden and Peer. His clearing pass right in front of the goal. Tebbett nearly steals, but Fenves is there. Fenves breaks out of the pack on left wing at center for the Baltimore line. He fired a high one over top of the net. Covering in the left corner is Britt Peer. Now Peer for the Jacks. At his own line for Tebbett. It caromed off his skate all the way to the goaltender Gilmore. To the right side of the goal for Smith, clearing to the line. And Dean DeFazio and Britt Peer in combo failed to contain it, and the Jacks are called on the offside. 1:24 for the power play, 8:47 for regulation. The Jacks are minus their premier player, the Count of goal-scoring majesty, the league's second leading scorer, their own record breaker, Alain Lemieux. He will not play the 3 games this weekend. Is expected back next Thursday night when the Jacks are home here at the Baltimore Arena to entertain the Adirondack Red Wings. Designated number 1 goaltender Mike Sands, assigned last weekend by Minnesota, still is not reported. He has been deemed AWOL. Mike Palanchuk serving his first of a 3-game suspension. Now from the faceoff, Greg Tebbett center circle, floats it into the Hershey right corner. Charging after it, Shedden and Maxwell. They tangle truculently, dug out by the trailer Grew. Grew to the left point for Thomas, right point for Tebbett. The shot! Gilmore the save, but Shedden parked at the doorstep, and the rebound is wrapped to the Baltimore zone by McCarthy. Tim Thomas in front of the goal. Finally sheds the check of Lamoureux up the left boards at center for Peer at the Hershey line for Shedden. Right in front for Grew with a shot! And he struck the side of the net. Rebound behind the goal. Left corner. Thomas along the boards for Grew. Through to the left point for Peer with a shot, and Shedden in front, deflected it wide. The rebound along the boards. McCarthy overpowers Grew, but Thomas pinches in for the left circle, and he sailed it right through the crease with Peer parked at the doorstep. Action halted. We have another Hershey penalty coming up at 12:16, and with 7:44 left in regulation, the Jacks are presented a glorious opportunity in the form of a two-man advantage for 21 seconds. Dave McClay will receive a 2-minute minor for roughing at 12:16. 6,128 hopeful Skipjacks fans hoping for a Jack comeback attack. McClay, 2 minutes for boarding. Dave McClay, 2 minutes for boarding at 12:16. The faceoff will originate barely inside the Hershey line across the way from us on the Jacks' right wing. Jean-Francois No, Yves Heroux up front, along with Michael Holmes, who's been impressive tonight. Ian Armstrong and Greg Tevitt on the points. Hershey will counter with its lone forward, Don Nachbauer, the captain. Dave Fenvez, who's logged lots of ice time tonight, and Greg Smith will be deep. 21 seconds for the two-man advantage. This is a crucial face-off for the Jacks and the young rookie, Jean-Francois No. Won by No. To the right point for Armstrong. Right corner for Holmes. Right point for Armstrong. Left point for Tevitt. Right point for Armstrong. Right in front for Heroux. Deflected away by Fenvez to the left boards. Heroux is on it there. Behind the goal for No. First penalty over. No to the side of the goal. Back to the right point for Armstrong. Cracked down by Maxwell, who had been released from the penalty box. And when he upended Armstrong at the right point from behind, Armstrong failed to hold it in, and that trapped all the Skipjacks offside. 7:19 for regulation. 1:35 for the Skipjacks power play. This is the Jacks' 9th power play of the night. They are 0 for 8. Hershey on the power play tonight, 0 for 6. Jacks have lost 4 in a row to the Bears, dating back to last season. 5 of their last 6 against this Hershey club. Face-off outside the Hershey line. Controlled in front of their goal by Greg Smith. His pass struck No at the line, but No couldn't find it. Maxwell did inside the line, and he drove it to center. Where Doug Shedden on right wing. Drove it around the Hershey backboard to the left side for No. No chugging into the corner. Now Jean-Francois No in the circle for Heroux. Yves Heroux along the left wing boards, pulling up. In behind the goal for No, it didn't make it through. Greg Smith bowled over Heroux, clearing to the line. Thomas holds it in, right in front for No. He was upended by Fenvez, and it's fired down ice from left wing by Mike Murray. 1 minute for the power play. Doug Shedden at his own line in the middle at center for Toomey. Sean Toomey crossing the Hershey line. Along the left wing boards, poked off his stick back to the Jacks line by McCarthy. 46 seconds for the power play. Tim Thomas whirling in front of the goal to escape the check of Murray. Tim Thomas left it at the line for Sean Toomey, across on right wing at center for Shedden. Shedden hits the Hershey line. Right in front for Toomey, behind the defense, right in on goal, and Toomey fired it wide. The rebound along the left wing boards. Controlled by Thomas, pinching in from the point. Thomas into the corner behind the goal for Heroux. Try to step in front. Checked by McCarthy. McCarthy deep in the Hershey right corner, finds an opening and sweeps it down ice. 14 seconds for the power play. Doug Shedden at his own line at center for Toomey. It caromed off his stick to the left circle where Lobo was there, and Lobo fired it wide. The rebound comes up the left boards for Biggs at center zone. He drove it into the Baltimore zone. The penalty is over to McClay. Greg Tevitt at his own line for the Jacks. Now Tevitt in the middle at center for Grew. He hits the Hershey line, skidded off by Fenvez, but trailing is Toomey. Right in front with a shot. Kicked out by Gilmore with Grew screening at the doorstep. The rebound was in the corner as Chikrin cleared to the line, and Tevitt failed to contain at the left point for the Jacks. And the Baltimoreans are offside. A break of the action, 5:25 left. Hershey 5, the Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Take on Springfield at 7 p.m. on Providence Coastal Night. We hope to see you all down here. That's 7 p.m. this coming Sunday night. The Jacks take on Springfield.
Back to the play, Don Knockbauer zooming in over the skipjack line, across to the left point for Fenves. The shot, Gordon the save. The rebound squirms across to the left boards. Knockbauer skidded off by Tevitt, but it's stolen by Lofthouse. Right in front for Knockbauer behind the defense. It didn't make it through. Seized by Ian Armstrong. Armstrong from center drove it into the Hershey zone. Corralled at the line on the left side by Nick Kiprios, hurrying to center. Kiprios over the Jacks line, but Mark Lofthouse was shoved over the line on left wing by Dean DeFazio, and the Bears are offside. 4:45 remaining for regulation time. It's a 5-3 Hershey grip. Want to remind you to stay tuned with the Skipjacks postgame show right after tonight's action. Jacks are back at Hershey for their 5th and last of 5 consecutive games against the Bears. 2 in the preseason, first 3 in the regular phase. Airtime tomorrow night on the Jacks Hockey Network, 7:15. Jacks are right back home here at the Baltimore Arena Sunday night at 7 to entertain the Springfield Indians. 5,000 nifty Skipjacks poster schedules will be given away. Compliments of Provident Bank. Now Tom Corrales in front of the goal on the Skipjack defense. On left wing at his whole line for Tim Hoover. In the middle at center, Verneau. Jean-Francois Verneau hops it over the Hershey line. Try to center one in front for a trailing Dean DeFazio. Skidded off by Maxwell, who clears to center. Tom Corrales on right wing. Ahead for Verneau over the Hershey line. Left it for a trailing Byron Lomo on right wing. That was disrupted by Lamoureux. Lamoureux at center sends Seabrook charging in after it deep in the Jacks left wing corner. Seabrook is wrapped up assertively in that corner by the Jacks defender Tom Corrales. No further play. A break of the action. 4:12 left. Hershey 5, Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. We're going to come back here tonight or what? Back to the play. Here's Doug Shedden over the Hershey line along the right wing boards. Shedden to the right point where Armstrong snapping the shot, deflected by McCarthy along the right wing boards where Shedden centered it right through the crease and Grew couldn't quite reach it with the outstretched stick. It skids across the Hershey's right boards and Biggs to clear to center where Tim Thomas controls. Over the Hershey line for Grew. Grew trying to barge in through the defense, muscled by Chickern, who feeds in the middle at center for Berube. He fired it just wide. The rebound behind the goal for Armstrong. We have not seen the Skipjack defenseman Don McGrath in this third period. Armstrong just cleared to the Hershey line. Dave Fenves controls, and he just sends it down ice. Armstrong will round his own net for the Jacks. Ian Armstrong on right wing at his own line for Shedden. Beyond him to center. Corner where Pierre is pinned by Lofthouse. No further play. 3:08 remaining, third period action, 5-3 Hershey. Now Don McGrath is on. McGrath has played rather sparingly in this third period for Skipjack general manager coach Gino Briaco. Not in uniform for the Jacks tonight, as we mentioned, Alain Lemieux. He will miss all the weekend action due to that shoulder surgery. He's expected back next Thursday night here at home against Adirondack. Mike Paulinchuk serving his first of a 3-game suspension, while Malcolm Parks, Paul Gerlitz, and Greg Nisch were deactivated for tonight's game by the Skipjacks mentor, Gino Briaco. Face-off circle left of Scott Gordon. Gordon has been commendable in the Skipjack goal tonight. Not in the Hershey lineup tonight, rookie defenseman Gord Murphy and the 12-year veteran left winger, Al Hill. It'll be Sean Toomey for the Jacks, who has triggered his first pro goal, and Don Knockbauer for Hershey on the faceoff. 3:07 left. One by Toomey on the left boards. Greg Tevitt's there, and he just drifts it to the Hershey line. Fenves had it stolen from him by the peripatetic one, Byron Lomo. Lomo, though, was thumped along the boards by Fenves, who dropped him, and it's clear to the Baltimore line. Michael Holmes to control. Holmes at center, storming into the Hershey line, slamming on the brakes along the left wing boards, backhanding behind the goal. Fenves is there to sweep it to the blue line. Contained on the right point by McGrath. His pass halted by Knockbauer, who drove it into Baltimore territory. Tebbett in front of Lofthouse at his own line at center for Holmes. His pass to the middle at center was seized by Kiprios. Along the right wing boards inside the Jacks line for Knockbauer. Muscled by Tebbett. The two continue to jostle each other rather vigorously. Action is halted. Knockbauer high sticks Tebbett, and the fight is on. Don Knockbauer's had his helmet torn off by Greg Tebbett. Don Knockbauer and Greg Tebbett, two crusty veterans, and now Tebbett is administering punishment. Oh, that left really snapped back. Knockbauer's had a right by Tebbett. Greg Tebbett, as if Haystack Calhoun is all over Don Knockbauer. And Knockbauer has met his match. The two were jostling each other vigorously along the boards. And then Knockbauer high stick Tebbett. Tebbett, of course, does not wear the helmet. And after Knockbauer high stick Tebbett, that really incited the entire incident. Don Knockbauer for Hershey. Greg Tebbett for the Jacks. Knockbauer, a 9-year veteran. Tebbett, the 10-year pro. Greg Tebbett, who still holds the American League all-time record for most goals in a single season by a defenseman, 28. He set that in 82-83 with the Skipjacks, when he also gained recognition on the first All-Star team and won the Eddie Shore plaque, symbolic of the circuit's premier defenseman. Knockbauer has departed, preceding Tebbett, and now Greg Tebbett will leave as well. Tebbett had already logged 14 penalty minutes tonight, and he'll add to that lofty sum at the 17:41 mark with only 2:19 remaining. 6,148 Skipjacks fans, and although the Jacks are trailing by a pair, they have really enjoyed themselves tonight. The Jacks featuring a team for all occasions here tonight, and they have played a very entertaining brand of hockey. At one time, they gained a 2-0 lead before this game was 3 minutes old, and then after squandering it in the midway through the opening period, they bounced back and untied it on the Doug Shedden shorthanded goal at 8:33 of the second period. That was the Jacks' last successful assault of the night. It produced a 3-2 lead. Since then, the Jacks have succumbed to Hershey 3 unanswered goals, including 2-1, 19 apart early in this third period by the 3:07 mark. Mitch Lamoureux with 2 goals and 2 assists. Glenn Seabrook a goal and 2 assists. Dave Fenves has assisted twice for the Bears. Doug Shedden with a goal and an assist to spark the Jack attack. Here are the penalties. Don Knockbauer, 2 minutes for instigating. That was the high stick that we called. And 5 minutes for fighting. And Greg Tebbett, a 5-minute major for fighting. And the time of the penalty, 17:41. Knockbauer, 2 minutes instigating, 5 minutes fighting. Tebbett, 5 minutes fighting, 17:41. This is the Jacks' 4th power play alone in this third period, and their 10th. The Jacks' 10th power play of the night. They are 0 for 9. The face-off forthcoming barely to the Hershey side of the center red line across the way from us on the Jacks' right wing. It's a 5-3 Hershey Bulge. 6,128 boisterous Skipjack fans tonight. All ready to go for the face-off. It'll be Jean-Francois No for the Jacks and Kevin Maxwell for the Bears. No controls. Now Tim Thomas on left wing at center, hits the Hershey line and drove it in behind the goal. McCarthy is on the scene. He was really crunched to the backboards by DeFazio, but McCarthy controls around the boards on left wing at center for Maxwell. Maxwell crossed the Baltimore line and sent DeFazio somersaulting as he directed it behind the goal, where Shedden will control. Doug Shedden at his own line, loping to center. Shedden at the Hershey line. Along the right wing boards, Furneaux. That was interrupted by Kevin Maxwell, who stepped in to intervene and fired out ice. Thomas will control it in front of the Jacks goal. 1:20 for the power play. On right wing at center, Thomas for Shedden. Shedden crossing the Hershey line along the left wing boards for Thomas, penetrating. Thomas right in front for Grew. Grew shoots to the goal crease. No, just barely failed to convert at the right side of the crease. And it's finally whisked down ice by McCarthy. 1 minute for the power play, 1:19 for regulation. Tim Thomas strides in behind the Jacks goal to corral it. On left wing at his own line for Britt Peer. Now Peer up the boards at center for no. He couldn't catch up with that at the Hershey line. Lamoureux was there with a spinorama to sweep it down ice. Gordon will hold behind the goal for Thomas with a minute left. Thomas for Shedden at his own line on right wing in the middle at center. Shedden for Jean-Francois No, sending it in behind the Hershey goal. Covering his Fenves, winding it around the left boards for Lamoureux. Halted at the line by Corrales, who came across on the right side, but he failed to control it as Lamoureux was there again to backhand down ice. And deep in the Jacks right corner, Tom Corrales, checked by Lamoureux. But covering in front of the goal, Toomey with 31 seconds left. Toomey up on right wing at center for Byron Lomo, motoring in over the Hershey line. He and Toomey collide, and Toomey dished out a heavy-duty check to Lomo, who went tumbling, and the puck skips back behind the Jacks goal with 17 seconds remaining. Controlled by Ian Armstrong. He aims it up on left wing at his own line for Holmes, checked by Biggs, who poked it back into the Jacks left corner. Corrales will control it. Around the boards on right wing for Lomo. Beyond him to center as the horn will sound. This hockey game is over. The Hershey Bears magic continues at the Skipjacks' expense. They have now won all 4 of the meetings this season, including the first 2 in the preseason. Now the first 2 in the regular season, as the Bears win for only the second time in 5 starts. Both victories at the expense of the Skipjacks, who have now lost 5 in a row and 6 of their last 7 decisions against Hershey dating back to last season.